At the start of the story, we're shown a busy port packed with carts and ships, all actively trading goods. Then we're introduced to our main female lead. She has blonde hair and carries a basket filled with sea conchis and clams. She's on her way to the market to sell them. She stops in front of a shop where a merchant is selling all kinds of items. Politely, she addresses him as Sir and says she caught these clams herself, asking if he'd be willing to sell them in his shop. While she's talking, a few other customers nearby are shopping. One child points at the basket and says they look really fresh and suggests buying them. The vendor carefully inspects the clams and thinks to himself that they do look fresh, but wonders how a young girl like her would even know that. Picking up her basket, he says, "Looks like about 8 kilos. I'll give you 10 copper coins per kilo. That's a pretty good deal for you." Inside, he's actually pleased with himself, thinking he's about to make extra profit off a clueless girl, especially since fresh clams are in short supply. But suddenly, our female lead pulls the basket back from his hands and says, "Wait a minute, the price you offered isn't even close to the market rate." The shopkeeper shrugs and replies, "Fine, I can offer you 40 copper coins, not a coin more." With a cold expression, the heroine grips her basket and says, 70. The shopkeeper makes a strange face and responds, "Even a regular shop wouldn't give you more than 60 copper coins, and that too only for bulk orders." Unshaken, the heroine confidently says, "Really? Then what if I sell even 1 kilo for a single silver coin?" The shopkeeper looks at her, amused, and thinks to himself that she clearly doesn't understand how business works. In his mind, he reasons that he's been here for years. People trust him and buy from him. Why would anyone buy from a new girl who just showed up in the market? Trying to keep things smooth, he says, "If we want to do business long term, why don't we compromise a little?" The girl, still confident, nods slightly. "I understand." Then she steps closer to the shopkeeper and says, "Watch how I sell these." As she's about to leave, Haley turns back and says to the shopkeeper, "If I manage to sell all these conchis, promise me you'll trade with me at the proper market price next time." The shopkeeper smirks to himself, still confident. This girl is talking too big. She won't sell a single one. She'll give up soon enough. Ignoring him, Haley sets her basket of clams on a table, looks around at the crowd, and suddenly shouts, "Special sale for the first 4 customers!" People nearby turn their heads. Fresh giant conchis, caught just this morning. 1 silver per kilo. She raises her voice, full of energy, like she's running a limited time offer. 2 kilos per person. You won't get a chance like this again. People start gathering, curious. "I only need 4 customers," she calls out. The shopkeeper in the back starts getting nervous. What is she doing? "First come, first served," Haley continues, "before they're gone." Within moments, a small crowd forms around her. Customers step forward, and just like that, she sells everything. 4 silver coins. She lifts the pouch of money with a bright, confident smile. "Told you I could do it." Then she looks at the shopkeeper. "You remember your promise, right?" The shopkeeper sighs deeply, his confidence gone. Yeah, I get it. You win." Haley smiles and starts walking away. The shopkeeper watches her, thinking, she's definitely not ordinary. As she walks, Haley reflects on herself. She doesn't actually belong to this world. She's someone who ended up possessing a minor character, an extra, in a romance fantasy novel called The Princess's Marriage Scam. And it's only been 2 days since she woke up here. The first time she opened her eyes, she found herself inside a messy, broken-down cottage. When she saw her reflection in a cracked mirror, the face staring back wasn't hers. It belonged to someone else. While searching the cabin, she didn't find much about herself. But she did find a newspaper. That's when everything clicked. The headline talked about Emperor Bloden Ilfane's victory over monsters at the Northern Gate. That name, it was from the novel. In the story, the female lead Veloa eventually breaks Bloden's curse, and in return, demands marriage. Back in the present, Haley keeps walking when suddenly someone calls out to her. She turns around and sees an older woman. "Oh, it's been a while since I've seen you," the woman says warmly. "I was worried about you." Haley smiles politely. "Yeah, I've been around." From the conversation, she realizes her name in this life is Haley. The woman continues, "I thought something might have happened to you, especially with all that identity verification stuff going on." Haley freezes for a second. "So, I don't even have a proper identity here?" In her past life, she worked endlessly in a seafood processing factory by the sea, like a machine, trying to earn more money. Even after work, she would catch seafood herself to survive. In the end, she died from overwork, crushed under her father's debt. Her expression hardens slightly. "But this time, I won't let that happen." "Are you okay?" the woman asks. Haley snaps out of it and smiles. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just got lost in thought." The woman nods. "All right, I should go. My daughter will be back from school soon." They say goodbye, and the woman leaves. Haley takes a deep breath. This life won't be easy. But at least no one's forcing me anymore. She starts thinking positively. I know where I am. I know what's going on. I even have a place to stay, even if it's just a small cabin by the sea. A place where I can catch seafood, sell it, maybe even start farming in the backyard someday. Fix the house, save money, eat good food, live freely. A small smile appears on her face. Yeah, this life is going to be better. Suddenly, "Let me go, please." Haley stops. She turns and sees a man gripping a young boy's arm tightly. "I'll take you to your parents," the man says. "I don't want to go with you." The boy struggles. "Keep your mouth shut," the man snaps, tightening his grip. Haley narrows her eyes. That grip? The kid's clearly scared. Is this a kidnapping? Then it clicks. Right? This is where it starts. The serial kidnappings in Snorrel. And this is where the male lead first meets the female lead in the original story. Haley drops her basket. Kidnappers only target children who look alone, which means, without hesitation, she rushes forward and suddenly hugs the boy tightly. "There you are," she says loudly. "I've been looking everywhere for you, you little troublemaker." The boy freezes, completely confused. Am I messing up the plot? Haley thinks. Maybe, but I can't just stand by and let a kid get taken. She holds the boy protectively, acting naturally. "Sorry," she says to the man. "Thanks for helping my little brother." The man clicks his tongue. "Keep a better eye on him." "Yes, of course," Haley nods quickly. The man walks away. Once he's gone, Haley looks down at the boy. "You were about to get kidnapped, you know." The boy stays quiet, still shaken. Haley softens her expression. "Hey, it's okay. You're safe now." She smiles gently. "What's your name? How old are you?" The boy hesitates, then answers shyly. "Baron Eldit. I'm 7. Haley blinks. That name sounds noble. Wait, is he from a noble family? If I help him, could there be a reward? Excitement flashes in her eyes for a second. "Do you remember your parents?" she asks quickly. "Where did you get separated?" Baron shakes his head. "I don't have a mom or dad." Haley's excitement drops instantly. "Oh?" Baron continues quietly. "They were executed by the imperial family. They said it was confiscation of property and loss of title. My nanny left me at an inn, said she'd be back, but she never came." Haley coughs awkwardly, feeling bad. "Sorry." Baron looks confused. "Why are you apologizing?" "I asked something I shouldn't have," she says softly. Baron looks away, slightly flustered. "It's okay." Haley smiles faintly. He's actually blushing. What a cute kid. Then she starts thinking again. What should I do? Take him to the authorities or the orphanage? Before she can decide, Baron looks up at her and asks quietly, "Are you going to leave me somewhere again?" Haley freezes. It's only been 2 days since she came to this world. She has no proper identity, barely any money, and now, another responsibility. A runaway noble child with nowhere to go. She starts sweating, overwhelmed by the weight of it all. Haley asks a local where the nearest orphanage is. The woman points the way and says, "If you walk straight for about 30 minutes, you'll find it." Haley thanks her, then takes Baron's hand and starts heading in that direction. Baron looks up at her with an innocent expression and asks softly, "Are you going to send me to an orphanage?" That question catches Haley off guard. She pauses, then crouches down in front of him and gently says, "You know, there are adults there who can take care of you. You'll get tasty food, and a warm bed too." But as she explains, Baron's face slowly falls. "You don't have to do that," he says quietly. "You can just leave me here. I'll take care of myself." Haley places a hand on his shoulder, concern clear in her voice. "Don't say that. Don't you remember? You almost got kidnapped earlier." Baron shrugs casually. "I'm not scared." "You're only saying that because you don't know what really happens," Haley replies seriously. "If someone kidnaps you, it won't end well." Baron looks curious. "What would happen to me?" Haley hesitates for a moment, then thinks about it realistically. "You could be forced to mine mana stones, or sold to pirates. In short, you'd end up as a slave." Baron looks straight into her eyes. "How are you so sure?" "That's what happens to kidnapped kids," she says firmly. After that, they continue walking toward the orphanage. Along the way, Haley says, "If your legs start hurting, let me know." Baron tilts his head. "And what happens if they hurt?" "Then you won't be able to walk." He pauses for a second and replies, "Then I won't have to go to the orphanage." Haley sighs softly. "That's not what I meant." Suddenly, Baron stops walking, makes a small pouty face and says, "My legs hurt." Haley looks at him, a bit suspicious but still concerned. He doesn't actually look tired, but she also knows she has a lot to deal with. So she kneels down in front of him and gently says, "Let's at least go and see the orphanage once. It might be better than you think." Baron nods reluctantly. Haley turns her back to him and says, "All right, hop on." Baron looks confused. "What?" "You said your legs hurt, right? I'll give you a piggyback ride." Hearing that, Baron blushes slightly, his cheeks turning red. Haley smiles and asks, "Or do you want to keep walking?" Still flustered, Baron hesitates for a moment, then finally climbs onto her back. "I guess I don't have another choice." Haley adjusts her grip and says, "Hold on tight so you don't fall." He nods, wrapping his arms around her. The scene shifts, and they arrive in front of the orphanage. Baron climbs down from her back. Haley looks up at the building and freezes. Iron bars, a heavy padlock. Geez, this looks more like a prison, she thinks. Maybe it just looks bad on the outside. Maybe the inside is different. Just then, they hear shouting. A worker is yelling harshly at a child. Looking around, Haley notices the other kids. They're skinny, dressed in rags, and covered in bruises. Her expression darkens. Verbal abuse? Malnourished kids? Bruises everywhere? Is this really a safe place to leave Baron? Can I actually leave him here, all alone in a place like this? She isn't sure anymore. Suddenly, Baron gently holds her hand and asks in a small, innocent voice, "Do I really have to go in?" Haley goes silent for a moment, then shakes her head. "No, let's go home." As they walk away, Baron asks, "So I don't have to stay there?" "No," Haley says softly. "You don't." She hesitates, then adds, "How about you stay with me instead?" Baron's face lights up. "I like that." He grabs her hand, smiling. "I'll fix the house," Haley thinks. "I'll earn money somehow. I can take care of one kid." They soon arrive at Haley's house. Baron stops and looks at it, surprised. "Do I really have to live here?" he asks. The place looks like a rundown cottage. They both stand outside for a moment before Baron asks, "How long have you been living here?" Haley gives an awkward answer. I'm not really sure." Baron looks confused. Haley quickly adds, "I just moved here recently." Then she sighs. "Sorry, I brought you to a place like this." Baron shakes his head. "It's still better than the orphanage." Haley smiles faintly, though deep down she thinks, at least he likes it more than that place. But this isn't exactly safe for a kid either. They step inside. "First thing, we clean," Haley says. Baron looks around at the mess. "That's good. But can we even clean all this?" Haley pats his head. "Don't worry. Kids don't need to lift a finger. I'll handle it." She gently sits him in a corner. "Just stay here quietly. That's more than enough." Then she gets to work. She revives the embers in the fireplace, clearing the ash so the room stays warm, especially for Baron. She covers the cracked window glass with wet paper so it won't fall apart. Finally, she sweeps up all the trash and throws it outside. By the time she's done, the cabin looks completely different, clean and livable. Turning to Baron, she smiles. "All right, house is done. I'll make dinner now. You must be hungry, right?" But suddenly, she freezes. Baron is holding a knife. She quickly kneels down. "Hey, put that down and come here." Baron looks confused. "What's wrong?" Haley gently takes his hands and examines them. "Does it hurt when I press here?" He tilts his head. "Maybe. It feels like something's stuck." Haley's expression turns serious. This place is old. He could have gotten a splinter. "I should have warned him earlier," she thinks. "Hold on," she says. "I'll get it out." "How?" Baron asks. Without hesitation, Haley takes his finger into her mouth and sucks gently to pull the splinter out. Baron freezes. His face turns completely red. What are you doing?" Haley replies casually. "What does it look like? I'm getting the splinter out. That's how we did it back in the countryside." She pulls back. "Let me see. Come here." Baron, still blushing, says, "I'm fine, really." "You'll get an infection," she insists. "Don't pull away." Later that night, Haley sits on the bed and calls out, "Bedtime!" Baron, still a little shy, pretends to be busy looking at the conchis in the basket. "I'm not shy. I'm just checking these." Haley smiles to herself. What a cute excuse. "Leave those," she says. "I already soaked them in seawater to clean out the sand. Remember the ones we ate earlier? They were gritty. If we soak them, they'll taste better. I'll cook them for breakfast tomorrow. Now come on, let's sleep." Baron hesitates, but eventually walks over and lies down beside her. Haley pulls the blanket over both of them. "It's a bit cramped, but bear with it for now. I'll earn money and get you your own bed soon." "Okay," Baron replies softly. As she holds him, Haley notices he's stiff. Most kids would just snuggle in. "Is he not used to this?" She gently asks. "Do you want me to let go if you're uncomfortable?" Baron quickly moves closer. "No, I'm not uncomfortable. You can keep holding me." Haley smiles warmly. "Yeah, this is how kids should be. It feels like holding a little kitten. If I had left him at that place, we wouldn't be having this moment." She whispers, "Sweet dreams, Baron." "Sweet dreams, miss," he replies. "I made the right choice," she thinks as she slowly drifts off to sleep. But in the middle of the night, Baron quietly opens his eyes. He sits up. And now, his eyes have turned red. His expression is completely different. Baron is now outside, walking slowly along the beach. The night is quiet and his expression is completely cold. Nothing like the innocent child from before. He mutters a name under his breath. "Ignis Fatuus." A bright, glowing light appears out of nowhere, floating toward him before stopping in his hand. He stares at it calmly, then suddenly turns his head. Someone is standing behind him. "You came right on time, Dullahan." A shadowy knight appears and immediately kneels before him. "Knight Dullahan, answering your majesty's call," the figure says. I will now report on the monster invasion at the northern gate. Since the large-scale annihilation battle, the monsters have not shown themselves. They are likely terrified of the sword of destruction your majesty used against them. The undead army continues to monitor the perimeter. They won't dare approach for now. Baron listens quietly. I see. So sending them into the gate was the right call after all. Even if it turned my body into that of a child, he thinks. Then he asks, how long until they become a threat again? We estimate about 3 years, the knight replies. Then remain at the battlefield until further orders, Baron commands. Eliminate any monsters on sight and report immediately if their numbers increase. Yes, your majesty. The knight hesitates for a moment, then asks, by the way, I heard you were resolving the incident in Snorrel, so why are you in such a shabby place? Is there a reason? Baron goes silent, thinking back. At first, he had planned to use his childlike form to investigate the kidnapping case unnoticed. But things didn't go as expected. One complication led to another. And now, he was living as Baron, staying in the same house as Haley. As he reflects, the knight adds, if the army remains summoned like this, your majesty's recovery will be delayed. Will you be all right? Baron shoots him a cold look. You're unusually talkative today. The knight immediately stiffens, clearly shaken. Just then, a black crow lands on Baron's hand. Leave, Baron orders. Yes, as you command. The Shadow Knight disappears instantly. Baron then turns to the crow. Pass this location to Raven. It seems I won't be returning to the north for a while. The crow nods and takes off into the sky at incredible speed. Baron watches it go, then starts walking back toward the cottage. Originally, I planned to infiltrate and resolve the incident myself, he thinks. But now, since I've ended up with a guardian and am living with her, keeping my distance and waiting for the right moment might be the better option. He pauses for a second, and I should reward that commoner as well. Raise her status, grant her wealth. With that thought, he returns to the cottage. Inside, Haley slowly wakes up and finds Baron standing there, looking at her with his usual cute, innocent expression, as if he had been waiting for her to wake up all along. It's morning now. Haley's getting ready to head out to the sea. Before leaving, she tells Baron, wait for me, okay? I'll be back soon. Baron asks to go with her, but Haley gently shakes her head. You hurt your finger. We'll go together once it's fully healed. She softly pats his head. I'll be back before sunset, I promise. Baron nods. Haley leaves, and Baron watches her from inside the cottage, quietly waving goodbye. At the shore, Haley looks out at the sea, surprised. The conchies and sea cucumbers here are huge, and there are so many of them. Do the villagers not come this far? Or maybe there are better spots closer to town. She pauses, then smiles slightly. Well, now that I have another mouth to feed, this actually works out perfectly. But then a sudden thought hits her. If Baron was almost kidnapped, that means the events of the original story are still happening, right? Then this must be before the male lead, Bloden, arrives. She starts recalling everything she knows. The original Bloden Ilfane had black hair, red eyes, and a cold demeanor. He also possessed a special ability passed down only through the Imperial family, the power to summon entities from the other side, like spirits and ghosts. But that power came with a curse. The more he used it, the younger his body became. His mother, the former Emperor Lienda, died early because of that curse. His father, Grand Duke Veldenborough, who became the first regent, also died suddenly. After that, Bloden was sent away by the second regent, Madame Veldenborough, to the northern mountain gate, the source of the monsters, and later, while investigating a child kidnapping case in Snorrel, he was supposed to meet the female lead, Veloa. Haley frowns slightly. So, is Baron just an extra character like me? The curse can change physical age, sure, but his eye color is different, and Baron is the survivor of a ruined noble family. She smiles faintly. Besides, he's way too cute and gentle. Nothing like Bloden. If he grows up like this, he'll definitely turn out incredibly handsome. Lost in thought, she doesn't notice how much time has passed. The sun is already starting to set. Haley suddenly panics. I promised I'd be back before sunset. At this rate, I'll be late. She quickly gathers her things and starts running back. I knew this would happen. I should have lit a fire on the beach before coming out. As she runs toward the cottage, she suddenly notices something. A faint golden light in the distance. Her heart skips. That direction. That's where the cabin is. She rushes faster, but when she finally arrives, there's nothing unusual. No golden light. Just Baron sitting quietly at the door, waiting for her. As she approaches, he looks up and asks, What took you so long? You said you'd be back before sunset. Haley exhales and replies, Sorry, I got later than I expected. Let's get inside before we catch a cold. Then, after a brief pause, she asks carefully, By the way, Baron, did you happen to see anything strange out here? Baron looks at her and asks, Something strange? I didn't see anything. Haley frowns slightly. Yeah, there was a white light. It flashed for a moment and then disappeared. Baron nods calmly. Oh, that's a flash firefly. Haley still looks confused, so he explains. They're pretty rare, small bugs that give off light about the size of a fist. They used to show up in the garden at my old house sometimes. They appear suddenly, flash brightly, and then vanish just as fast. They're actually intelligent too. You can even tame them if you're skilled enough. Haley blinks. Really? Yeah, Baron replies casually. Do you want me to catch one for you? She tilts her head, still unsure. Baron smiles slightly. It would be useful in the dark and helpful when you're catching fish. I'll probably need this commoner's help for a while, he thinks. Maybe I should attach an Ignis to her. Haley thinks for a moment. It would be nice to have when I go out to the sea. Baron watches her closely, expecting her to agree. She's definitely going to say she needs it right away. But instead, Haley just smiles and gently pats his head. There's no need for our little kiddo to overdo it. I'll be fine on my own. Baron blinks, confused. Haley continues warmly. Still, it's amazing how smart you are. You know so much, Baron. Where did such a cute and lovely kid even come from? Then she turns away slightly. All right, I should start making dinner. She glances back at him. Wash your hands, okay? I'll check your wound while we're at it. Baron stands there quietly. She doesn't need it. Because she can handle things on her own? Then why? The adults I've known always acted for their own benefit. But this commoner is different. Even when she saved me from the kidnappers, even when she tried to take me to the orphanage, she still chose to take responsibility for me, despite having so little herself. Why? He's still lost in thought when Haley calls out, Baron, come on, wash your hands, it's time for dinner. He walks toward her slowly. For now, I'll hide my identity and quietly let her raise me. As soon as he gets close, Haley suddenly pulls him into a warm hug. There's my little kiddo! Baron stiffens, flustered, trying to look away. But he doesn't pull back. He still leans into her warmth.
Story begins inside a luxurious palace filled with celebration. Servants move back and forth carrying trays of expensive food while proudly talking about the young master. Our young master got accepted into the Royal Academy at only 10 years old. To celebrate, his nanny even prepared all his favorite dishes. That young master is Isaac von Gotha, the main protagonist of our story. The entire palace is overflowing with joy because of his admission to the prestigious Royal Academy. Even his older brother joins the celebration, happily playing the guitar for him. But suddenly, Isaac opens his eyes. Sweating heavily, he sits up in bed, breathing hard. It was all a dream. Or rather, a memory. And it wasn't the first time he had seen it. He stares silently into the darkness. Those days are long gone now. He can never return to them again. Just then he hears footsteps approaching from outside his room. The door slowly opens, and a servant walks in carrying breakfast. "Good morning, young master," the servant says politely. The servant notices the messy room and sighs. "Another nightmare, Master Isaac," Isaac quietly responds. "I dreamed about the past again." The servant Lucas pauses for a second. "How far back this time?" 20 years. Lucas places the food down on the table and says calmly, "Thinking about the past won't change anything. At least eat while the food's still warm." Then he adds with a small smile, "And after breakfast, we still need to finish yesterday's training." But Isaac barely reacts. He looks distant, empty. We then learn what really happened 20 years ago. Back when Isaac was only 10 years old, shortly before entering the Royal Academy, he suddenly became sick with a strange flu. The illness lasted for 3 entire months, yet nothing seemed to help him recover. Desperate, Isaac's father invited a famous magic scholar from the tower to examine him. After studying Isaac's condition, the scholar finally discovered the truth. "Your son possesses a unique constitution." The scholar begins explaining, "In this world, every human possesses mana. The body acts as a vessel that gathers and circulates that mana. The speed at which mana flows depends on the size and stability of the vessel. But Isaac's mana circulation," the scholar's expression turns serious, "is abnormally fast, unfathomably fast. At this rate, it won't be long before his vessel completely shatters." The moment Isaac's father hears this, fear spreads across his face. And one day, the scholar's warning comes true. An enormous amount of mana suddenly erupts from Isaac's body like a dam bursting open. The overflowing mana collides violently with the surrounding energy, creating massive explosions throughout the mansion. People scream. Some are injured. Some die. The entire estate falls into chaos and terror, and during the disaster, Isaac's younger brother loses his right arm. Young Isaac stares at the horrifying scene in complete shock. His little brother's severed arm lies before him. His mind completely breaks. Tears streaming down his face, Isaac begs his father, "Please, lock me away. I don't want to hurt anyone else. Put me somewhere nobody can reach me. Somewhere I can't hurt anyone ever again." And because of that tragedy, Isaac has lived in isolation ever since. Back in the present, Isaac is now 15 years old. He quietly writes inside his notebook, trying to organize his thoughts. But suddenly, he hears Lucas coughing behind him. Isaac immediately freezes in fear. "No, not again." He slowly turns around and sees blood dripping from Lucas's mouth. The reason Lucas is coughing blood is because he has spent too much time around Isaac. Too much exposure to Isaac's unstable mana has started affecting his body as well. Isaac von Gotha quickly rushes toward Lucas and supports him before he can collapse. "You need to take care of yourself," Isaac says anxiously. "At the very least, take a month off." Lucas wipes the blood from his mouth and looks at Isaac with concern instead. "If I'm not here, then who's going to take care of you, young master?" Isaac lowers his eyes. "Then I'll fire you if that's what it takes to make you rest." But Lucas suddenly smiles confidently. "You know how many mana explosions you've caused over the years," he says jokingly, "and yet not even a scratch appeared on me." Then he grins proudly. "You won't find another servant like me anywhere." Isaac's expression only becomes more painful. "But if you stay with me, you could lose everything," he whispers. "Even your life." Unable to bear the guilt, Isaac suddenly turns away and pretends to be angry. "Leave already. I need to meditate. Stop bothering me." Lucas understands immediately. Like a loyal servant, he bows slightly. "As you wish, young master." Then he quietly leaves the room and closes the door behind him. After Lucas leaves, Isaac sits alone in silence, terrified, fragile. completely isolated. Time passes. Isaac grows older. Now dressed in formal black clothes, he sits alone at a massive dining table inside a dark hall. The room looks more like a graveyard than a mansion. The bodies of servants and attendants lie motionless around him. Then suddenly, a voice echoes from behind him. "So, you finally came back." Lucas slowly turns around in fear. Standing there is a man covered in blood, wearing a horrifying smile. "Welcome back, Lucas," the man says creepily. "It's been a long time. Young Majesty." Isaac suddenly wakes up. Sweat pours down his face as he grabs his head in panic. "No, Lucas died." The last memory he has of Lucas is blood coming out of his mouth, and ever since that day, an entire year has passed. Lucas never returned. Isaac blames himself for everything. If only I had acted colder toward them. If I pushed everyone away harder, maybe they would still be alive. Years continue to pass. Isaac grows from a teenager into a middle-aged man, but he never wastes his time. Instead, he dedicates every moment of his life to studying magic, searching desperately for a way to survive his cursed constitution. He reads endless, magical books, researches theories day and night, meditates constantly to calm his unstable mana. And after decades of effort, he finally discovers a solution. But by then, Isaac is already 71 years old. One day, Isaac sits at his desk writing notes when suddenly, he hears a voice from outside the gate. "Brother. Brother." The moment Isaac hears that word, his entire body freezes. Then the voice calls again. "It's me, Jonas. Are you asleep?" Isaac immediately stands up in shock. "Jonas! Why are you here?" From outside the gate, the voice asks softly, "Can I come in?" Isaac hesitates, then quietly says, "No. Just stay there and talk to me from outside." The moment he says it, regret appears on his face. Now both brothers sit against opposite sides of the gate, separated by only a wall. Isaac asks carefully, "How have you been?" Jonas laughs weakly. "That's a very long story." Then his tone softens. "Do you know, today is the anniversary of our parents' deaths?" Isaac lowers his eyes sadly. "How did father die?" Jonas pauses. "That's another long story. Do you really want to hear it?" "If you want to tell me," Isaac replies softly. A faint smile appears on Jonas's face. "Then I guess I should start from 30 years ago." And so, Jonas begins telling stories from their childhood. As the conversation continues, the two brothers slowly begin feeling like children again. For the first time in decades, Isaac smiles naturally. "I have to admit," he says quietly, "you're a talented storyteller." Jonas chuckles. "Really? Maybe I should have become a wandering poet instead." Then he laughs awkwardly. "Though, writing with one hand would have been difficult." The moment Isaac hears that, his smile disappears. His brother lost that arm because of him. "Sorry," Isaac whispers, but Jonas gently interrupts him. "Father, mother, and even I resented you for a long time, brother." Isaac's eyes tremble. "But we also missed you very much." Hearing those words, something inside Isaac finally loosens. For the first time in years, he feels peace. Memories of his childhood self begin returning to him. But then Jonas suddenly says with deep regret, "It's a shame. At least once before the end, I wanted to see your face again, brother." The moment Isaac hears "before the end," his expression changes instantly. Tension fills the air. Jonas continues speaking weakly. "While the war was raging." The gates opened. Monsters we had never seen before entered this world. And the radical faction of the new religion. The atrocities they committed. Isaac suddenly stands up in panic. "Jonas, are you all right?" But Jonas continues as if he can barely hold on anymore. "Now, at least you can spend the rest of your life in peace." His voice grows quieter. "Only if you had come earlier." Then silence. Isaac notices something horrifying. Blood is slowly flowing from beneath the gate. His eyes widen. He immediately throws the gate open and sees Jonas collapsed on the ground with a sword through his body. Most of his blood is already drained away. He's gone. Isaac falls to his knees beside him, devastated. Even after all this, you still stayed here just to tell me your story? With trembling hands, Isaac lifts his brother's body and slowly begins walking outside. Tears stream down his face. You're so light! How long have you been starving? As Isaac steps beyond the gate, blinding light pours over him, and when he finally looks up, the entire kingdom is destroyed. Ruins cover the land. Collapsed buildings, broken swords, scattered corpses, monsters roaming freely through the remains of civilization. Then snow begins to fall from the sky. Isaac slowly raises his hand and whispers softly to his brother's body. Look, Jonas. It's snowing. And in that freezing world, his only thought is that he can't let his little brother stay cold anymore. Isaac waited until spring finally arrived, and then he buried Jonas beside the family cemetery. As he stood in front of their graves, he demonstrated his magic and realized that his mana had finally become completely stable. But by now, it was already far too late. Deep down, Isaac kept wondering if it was somehow possible to reset everything. He slowly sat beside the graves and leaned his head against the cold ground, asking whether he deserved forgiveness, even if it was only a little. Regret completely consumed him as he thought about how everything could have changed if he had returned sooner. Maybe if he hadn't pushed everyone away, things would have turned out differently. While drowning in those thoughts, Isaac eventually rested his head on the ground and passed away. But even after death, he could still hear a familiar voice calling out to him. The voice asked whether the young master was having another nightmare. At first, Isaac couldn't recognize it, but then he realized it belonged to Hans, someone who had already died long ago. The moment Isaac opened his eyes, he found himself lying on a bed completely drenched in sweat and breathing heavily. Confused and panicked, he looked around and realized he was back inside his old room. One of his servants nervously asked if he was feeling all right and whether he had trouble sleeping. Isaac remained frozen in confusion, unable to understand whether this was all a dream or flashes from his previous life before everything fell apart. He immediately got out of bed and rushed toward the window. Standing there in shock, he suddenly heard another familiar voice calling for him from outside. When Isaac looked down, he saw his younger brother Jonas casually sitting on a tree branch outside the window, staring up at him exactly like he used to during childhood. The sight of him made Isaac step back in disbelief as the overwhelming regret inside his heart slowly began to fade. At that moment, Isaac realized this wasn't a dream at all. He had truly returned to the past, and this was his chance to stop the tragedy before it happened again. This time, he became fully determined to change the future.